seems to me, Chub," said Twinkle, "that we're lost."
"Seems to me, Twink," said Chubbins, "that it isn't we that's lost, it's the path."
"It was here a minute ago," declared Twinkle.
"But it isn't here now," replied the boy.
"That's true," said the girl.
It really was queer. They had followed the straight path into the great forest and had only stopped for a moment to sit down and rest, with the basket between them and their backs to a big tree. Twinkle winked just twice, because she usually took a nap in the afternoon, and Chubbins merely closed his eyes a second to find out if he could see that long streak of sunshine through his pink eyelids. Yet during this second, which happened while Twinkle was winking, the path had run away and left them without any guide or any notion which way they ought to go. Another strange thing was that when they jumped up to look around them, the nearest trees began sliding away in a circle, leaving the little girl and boy in a clear space, and the trees continued moving back and back, farther and farther, until all their trunks were jammed tight together, and not even a mouse could have crept between them. They made a solid ring around Twinkle and Chubbins, who stood looking at this transformation with wondering eyes. "It's a trap," said Chubbins, "and we're in it."
"It looks that way," replied Twinkle thoughtfully. "Isn't it lucky, Chub, we have the basket with us? If it wasn't for that, we might starve to death in our prison."
"Oh, well," replied the little fellow, "the basket won't last long. There's plenty of starve in the bottom of it, Twinkle, any way you can fix it."
"That's so, unless we can get out. Whatever do you suppose made the trees behave that way, Chubbins?"
"Dunno," said the boy. Just then, a queer creature dropped from the tree into the ring and began moving slowly toward them. It was flat in shape, like a big turtle, only it hadn't a turtle's hard shell. Instead, its body was covered with sharp prickers, like rose thorns, and it had two small red eyes that looked cruel and wicked. The children could not see how many legs it had, but they must have been very short, because the creature moved so slowly over the ground. When it had drawn near to them, it said in a pleading tone that sounded soft and rather musical,
"Little girl, pick me up in your arms and pet me."
Twinkle shrank back.
"My, I couldn't think of doing such a thing," she answered.
Then the creature said,
"Little boy, please pick me up in your arms and pet me."
"Go away," shouted Chubbins. "I wouldn't touch you for anything." The creature turned its red eyes first upon one and then upon the other.
"Listen, my dears," it continued. "I was once a beautiful maiden, but a cruel tuxix transformed me into this awful shape, and so I must remain until some child willingly takes me in its arms and pets me. Then, and not till then, will I be restored to my proper form."
"Don't believe it! Don't believe it!" cried a high, clear voice, and both the boy and the girl looked quickly around to see who had spoken. But no one beside himself or herself was in sight, and they only noticed a thick branch of one of the trees slightly swaying its leaves.
"What is a tuxix?"
asked Twinkle, who was beginning to feel sorry for the poor creature.
"It is a magician, a sorcerer, a wizard, and a witch all rolled into one," was the answer, "and you can imagine what a dreadful thing that would be."
"Be careful!" cried the clear voice again. "It is the tuxix herself who is talking to you. Don't believe a word you hear." At this, the red eyes of the creature flashed fire with anger, and it tried to turn its clumsy body around to find the speaker. Twinkle and Chubbins looked too, but only heard a flutter and a mocking laugh coming from the trees.